Welcome to this 20-minute webcast on effective analytics made easy with IDEA. These webcasts are being brought to you by Automation Services, the USA provider of caseware IDEA data analysis solutions. The purpose of these webcasts is to conduct short demonstrations of areas where our clients are benefiting from effective analytics. This particular webcast will focus on accounts receivable. You can see on my desktop I have an open invoice file. On the left side under the Files section, you can see that IDEA is moving into a Manage Project focus. You have several folders to store different files in IDEA, and in a short period of time you can easily learn how this works. However, one of the first things you need to learn is how to add client source files. So as you notice under the folder names, you see one labeled Source Files. As you hover over it and right-click, you bring up the dialog box, select Add File, and you can navigate to where you placed your client files. I've already added these two files to our project so we can do our demonstrations today, so I'm going to close this without adding more files. You'll also notice as you look down through the file properties that we have two views here, and we are currently in the library view, but we can easily push over and look in the File Explorer window, which will bring up the files that we have imported into IDEA. There are a few things I do every time I open up a client data file for the first time. The first thing I do is I adjust my desktop so I get the best view of my data. You can see as I move the left side, I'm fully exposing and then overlaying the database files that I've pulled into IDEA. I can maximize this view by using the push-pull pin and pinning it over to the side. As I hover over the tab, it flies out and I can reset the push-pull pin. I can do the same thing on the right side as well, overlaying the database properties. The second thing I do is I want to make certain the database administrator gave me the data files that I need and that the data is in the format that I need them. To bring up the record layout for this data file on my desktop, I right-click anywhere on the desktop in any of the cells, and I pull up the dialog box and I navigate down and I select Field Manipulation. So here I've pulled up the record layout and you can see all of the field names in nice rows and columns here. If I want to change a field name, I navigate over to the field that I want to change, I double-click on it, and I can type right over it. Now all I'm doing is changing the field name that appears on the database and any output reports. I am not changing the underlying data at all. If for some reason I need to change the field name element type, I navigate over to the second column and I select the type that's shown, which pulls up a drop-down dialog box, and I can easily change the field element type. I don't really want to make any changes here, so I'm going to cancel out without making changes. The third thing I do is I want to make certain that I'm in agreement with the client as to all of the information that I was looking for. To accomplish this, on the right side under the database properties, I want to take a look at the field statistics. So I navigate over to the right side, come down to Field Statistics and select. You notice that IDEA is indicating that I did not generate the statistics when I imported the files. By selecting yes, I can invoke IDEA's built-in data mining and generate the field statistics that quickly. You'll notice here that the field statistics provides three views: numeric, date, and time. And since I do not have a time field in this record, IDEA is indicating that it's blank, so that's what we would expect. Let's go back up to numeric and take a closer look at this. Again, IDEA is providing you with a lot of information here, and if I want to narrow the data fields to just the ones that I need to reconcile back to the client database, I can use this icon right here to clear all. All of the statistics have been removed. And then I can just come to the left side where I have the numeric fields listed and reactivate just those fields that I want to validate. As you look at this information that's being provided, you'll see some of the totals are in blue, indicating that they are hyperlinked, and we can actually drill down and look at the underlying data underneath these totals. Again, using IDEA's built-in data mining. That's the numeric view, and if I want to put them all back, I can click on the select all, and all the fields are back. So let's take a look at the date view. I have one date field in this file. Again, you can see the type of information that IDEA is providing you with earliest date, latest date, input by month through the 12 months of the year, and then also input by day for Sunday through Saturday. So you're basically scanning through here looking for anything unusual or information that you need to know. I see here items on Sunday. Not certain that the client works on Sunday, so maybe I want to save this view to remind me to talk to the client. Give it a file name that's unique so that when it shows up in my list of files, I know what it is. I hit OK, and I've saved that view over here on the left side. You can see it. So I have not extracted anything from the parent file, though. All I've done is save a view of those records. To get back to our data file so we can start working on our audit program and conducting our tests, I navigate over to the right side on the database properties, and I come up to data and select data, and I'm back in the parent file. Even though we did create a snapshot of some of the records, the parent file is intact, and we're ready to start doing our test. Outstanding balances in the accounts receivable area all of a sudden became an important process after the passage of SOX when Section 404 testing started. One of the big realizations was many companies had become rather aggressive and optimistic in recognizing revenue. Unfortunately, what the stakeholders of these companies learned that short-term goals of hitting performance targets, reaching for exceedingly higher year-after-year bonuses, or just making certain the bank will maintain a favorable credit rating can motivate some people to manipulate the receivables ledger. So we're going to take a look at 3 tests. The first test we're going to look for customers that are exceeding their credit limit. The solution to this test is simple. We need to join the credit limit list with the database already summarized by invoice, and then do a direct extraction of customers with total open invoices greater than the credit limit. So I already have the open invoices file open, so I need to join with the credit limit, which is over here on the left. Under analysis, which is where most of the functions of IDEA that you need to do your tests will reside, you see join. So I select join. Again, if I need to brush up on how to use this, I click on the help button, bring up the help file, and it gives me an explanation of how to use this and then a step-by-step, so it makes it very handy. Since my open invoices file was open when I selected this, it automatically becomes the primary database, and of course as an auditor you don't want to drop any of the records, so we'll just come down here and make certain that all records in the primary file will end up in our result file. We now need to select a secondary database. Hit the select button, pick up the credit limit from this file here, so we hit OK, and that automatically becomes our secondary. So here we want to give it a file name that's unique, so when it shows up in our project files we know what it is. Customers with credit limit. Give it any file name that makes sense to you. We can add fields if we want to look at particular fields, so if we wanted to add a field we could do that. We need to set a match, and we're going to match on customer number. Notice that in the primary it's numeric, and in the secondary customer number is numeric. It must be the same element type. It doesn't matter what the length of the record is. Hit OK, and we've added credit limit to the file here. So that's the first part of the test. The second part of the test is we want to identify those customers that are exceeding their limit, but we notice that we have some customers with multiple invoices. So we're going to need to do a summarization to collapse it down to one customer number. We hit the summarization. We want to summarize on customer number. Again, if you need help, you can use the help file. We want to give it a total sum by customer number. We want to total on the total amount of the invoices, sales plus tax. We can grab a lot of additional information, but to run this test we just need the sum. We can add the sales rep number to the output, hit OK, and so we have a new file here that just contains the records, and we can index them on the number of records, double clicking on the column. We notice that we have one customer that has 37 open records, and we can actually drill down and see what those records look like. That's the first part of the test. So now we need to take a look at how many of these customers are exceeding their credit limit. To do that, we're going to do a direct extraction. I come over to direct, select the dialog box. Again, there's the help button, and give it a name, customers exceeding credit limit. Hit the icon calculator in the middle of the box, bring up your equation editor. So here's all the operators that we need. In the white area we're going to insert our formula, and at the bottom IDEA is brought over all of the data fields that we can use for doing our formulas. So in this case we want the total amount of the invoices, sales plus tax, greater than the credit limit. And I can either start typing it, and IDEA will help me, or I can go down to the field names and select it by double clicking. I check the syntax by clicking on the icon between the green check and the red X. It passes. I select the green check to validate and exit. And so here are the customers that are exceeding their credit limits. The second test we want to do is an aging, or actually a re-aging, because most likely your client has an aging process to follow up on the open receivables. Of course, the client's accounting system includes this ability, but we want to run an independent test. So let me clean up this desktop a little from the last test that we did and get back to the parent file of open invoices. We're going to use the IDEA function called aging and drill down by account number to the total outstanding invoices. Let's select aging from our analysis. We want to get the December 31st record, so we need to pick one day into the next period so that we don't drop any records. So we'll use a January 1st date. The aging field that we're going to use is the invoice date. The amount field to total is not the invoice number. Sales plus tax number, which is the total amount of the invoice. We can change the aging interval from days to months to years. We'll leave it at days. If the client has a slightly different aging grouping other than 30, 60, 90, we can adjust our fields up to match the client. I do want to generate a key summary database so I can see what the aging looks like. I need to use that. I need to set a key. In this case we want customer number. I hit OK. We have everything in there that we want, so we can hit OK, and we generate the summary. In most cases your client's probably going to have a rule that once an item reaches, say, 60 or 90 days old, that it must be transferred to collection. So you can see the items here. If you want to save a view of that and pull in the records that have sent for collections, you can do a comparison to see if any salesmen are holding back on invoices. Chances are the salesman will not get a commission if he passes it over to collections. So that's the second test. The third test that we want to do We need to get back to our data view. The third test that we want to do is we want to look for credit balances in the open receivables. Credit balances in the accounts receivable left for a long period of time can indicate many problems. For example, it could indicate a high level of returns, which could indicate faulty goods. If some of these have been sold, could have significant implications elsewhere in the client's business. It could also indicate poor controls over matching of payments and credit notes. Let's see if we have any credits. There's several ways we can do it. I've already shown the direct extraction way, so this time I'm going to show you how easy it is to set a filter. So let's go over to the sales plus tax column, any of the cells, and right click, which brings up our dialog box, and navigate down to display all records containing. We can actually type over this, so we want invoices that are equal to or less than 0. So that will tell us if there are any negative records in the file. And so we find that there are 11 that equals 0 or negative balances or credit balances. We can index them by clicking on the field. And we notice as we look at it, the additional information, that the larger items are assigned to customer number 9999. Chances are that's not a legitimate customer number. It's probably a plug field. And you'll notice that all those invoices were set up at the start of the period, so they most likely the salespeople have rolled them forward to save them to use at a later date. So that completes the 3 tests I wanted to show you. I look forward to seeing you at future webcasts, so thank you for attending. If you would like our assistance with using IDEA to conduct these tests or other tests, supported users can call the Automation Services Help Desk at 888-641-2800. We also want to remind you of our training opportunities, which are listed on our website at automation.com under Training. Thank you.